Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah McCubbin from 10 Minute Momentum. And today I want to talk about one of those excruciating pain points that most of us have experienced as an adult. What, what is that experience, you might say? What is that experience? That is running out of money before you get your next paycheck. What? I don't know about you, but when I was young and newly married and trying to figure things out, very often I was surprised by how much things cost. Now, I was raised by frugal parents. My husband was raised by frugal parents. Thankfully, that was our saving grace. However, we really had no idea how much it cost to live on our own. We got married when we were 20 and 23. I had never lived on my own. He had had like a very short living on his own, like in the summertime, but neither of us had really ever felt the full weight of our finances. So we got married and wow, there were so many things that cost money, like rent and utilities and car repairs and health insurance. I don't even think we had health insurance and gas and gifts and food. You know, you get the idea. They're all the things we pay for as adults. And that experience of feeling so uncertain as a young adult really shaped what we wanted to give our own kids. Now, as homeschool parents, we're always looking to buy curriculum that checks a box, right? If we're trying to graduate a student from high school, there are certain subjects that may be required in your state. So maybe you're looking for certain subjects, but the heart of homeschooling, the heart of all education for parents who are trying to launch their children into adulthood is that we want them to be able to do that confidently. We want them to be able to step out and not flounder, not make huge financial mistakes, not struggle, not have to live in our basement forever, right? We want them to be able to make wise financial choices. So, for my husband and I, that has meant we really did prioritize teaching our kids about finances. And I'll have to tell you about some of the ways we've done that. But today, I'm very excited to share a curriculum with you that is brand new and is a great curriculum for helping you teach personal finance, consumer math in your homeschool. All right. So today, the one I want to show you is Master Books Consumer Math. It's a personal finance curriculum, but it's more than that. It's biblical stewardship. So, what does that mean? This curriculum has tons, tons of information that will help prepare your young adult, your teenager for adulthood. There's tons, and I'll go through that. But it is also a curriculum that emphasizes biblical stewardship, as in the money that we have, everything we have belongs to the Lord. So if you have that as your foundation, if your teens understand that, it makes choosing to spend or save or give their money have kind of a higher calling, right? Because it doesn't really belong to us anyway. So this curriculum is part personal finance education, but it's part discipleship where you're really teaching your kids the heart of God, the heart of the Father when it comes to money, which is really exciting, right? Because He wants good things for us, He wants good things for our kids, and learning how to steward His resources is one way we can live out the kingdom here on earth. So let's take a look and see what's inside this curriculum because it is arranged in 4 quarters. All right. That means this means a couple different things. First of all, for the sake of your homeschool, 4 quarters, just like in school, and each quarter has some major categories. So like in the first quarter, you'll cover giving, living expenses, debt, and taxes. The second quarter will cover things like budgeting for essentials and big expenses. Quarter 3 is major financial decisions, cars, careers, housing, college, things like that. Quarter 4 is investing, retirement, business math, that type of thing. Now, I would like to show you, let's just flip through here and look at the table of contents for a minute, because there's so much more to this than just those high level categories. So, for example, at the beginning, you can expect to cover things that are really practical, like you're going to do a skill review and things like rounding and percent. Now, I would like to show you, let's just flip through here and look at this. Let me tell you, I was a waitress for a lot of years when we were early married. And a lot of people don't know how to tip. You know, if you're trying to teach your kids how to give a percentage of their money or how to tip, things like that, percentages are important. You're going to go over things like living expenses. This is really important for a young person who might want to move out. How much does it cost to live independently? Then you're going to talk about things like savings and compound interest and debt, because it's very common for young people to get caught up in debt when they get that first credit card, not knowing what they should be doing with their money. How much money do they actually have when they get their paycheck? Taxes. This is really exciting. I want to show you here. There's a teacher's guide that comes with this curriculum. And the teacher's guide, I would say, is essential. You can buy it separately, and that might work if you were doing a co-op or in a classroom, that you would make copies of this. But otherwise, you definitely need this for your young person to get the full benefit of this curriculum. One of the sections that is the most exciting to me is the section on taxes. Oh, we all love taxes, right? But actually, it's so phenomenal because it literally walks your student. The activities in here are really super practical. So here is a whole section on taxes in the worksheets that goes with this student book. And you're literally going to walk through filling out a tax return. Now, that's one of those things that feels really overwhelming when kids get their first job and then they have to file taxes. It's so unfamiliar. And part of the reason we teach personal finance is literally just to help familiarize them with some of these major financial mechanisms that exist out here. So the worksheets that are in here are not busy work. That's what I love. Not busy work. It's really super practical. Now, our kids are going to be facing, if they're in high school, they're going to be facing major financial decisions much sooner than you realize. In our own family, we've kind of experienced this. My daughter just graduated from high school, and in her math class, one of the activities they did was a planning a wedding activity. Now, my daughter's not getting married. She's just 18. But in that activity, the teacher assigned them different dollar amounts, and some kids had $30,000 to plan a wedding, and my daughter had 5. So she got the low end. But it's so relevant because my son is getting married next month. And so here we are having all these wedding conversations, buying things, planning things, talking about money and how it all relates to the wedding and all the expenses. And so even though she's not planning her wedding, you know, it's a thing that's happening in our household. And that is exactly what's happening with this personal finance curriculum. My kids all get jobs when they're around 14 and they suddenly have their own money. Guess what? Doing personal finance when your kid has a job is magic. It's amazing because they suddenly have enough money that they could choose to spend, which they often do when they first get a job. But then quickly they realize that they're wasting their time if their money just disappears. So now they have money that they can give, save, invest in their future. It's really exciting. Now, if you happen to have a student that needs a little more guidance than just a textbook, Master Books Academy does have a supplemental video option that you can get to go along with this curriculum. And in this, you've got a teacher who's teaching each of the lessons, which can be very helpful for some students. All right. Now, here are some things I loved about this curriculum as a mom. First of all, it's not just math, it is discipleship. Our job as parents is not just to give them a good education, right? We're training them, teaching them to be young men and women of character who are planning for their futures, but also for their families' futures. That's really exciting that the things they're learning in high school are really going to shape their families, which is amazing. It's also about real world readiness. One of the big debates in the homeschool world is whether certain subjects are relevant or not. Like, will I ever use this again? Consumer math, personal finance, stewardship, you're going to use this, guaranteed, right? Every adult will attest to this. There's tons of built-in conversation starters. So sometimes it's hard to have meaningful conversations with teenagers. Maybe they're in their phone, talking to friends, don't really want to talk to you. But money is such an engaging topic. And this has lots of conversation starters. Kids always want to talk about money, right? They love it. The book is very student friendly, very colorful, actually, which, I know it's not necessary, but it's very helpful for even for high school students. And obviously, faith is integrated throughout. Who is this curriculum perfect for? Now, one of my goals is always to share who I think a curriculum is a really good fit for. Because let's be honest, every curriculum is not a perfect fit for every student and every family. So, first of all, this is a great fit if you are a Christian family, right? It's not a secular curriculum. And it's a great fit for high school. You could use some of it for junior high, but some of what makes this curriculum really work is the opportunity to apply it to their own finances. So kids tend to engage more when, you know, information is more current, it's going to be applied soon or instantly. So I would say it is a great fit for high school, although you could use it with some older middle school students. This is a good fit for kids who are ready to do the work. All right. So in the homeschool world, sometimes there's this debate over, whether we should make our kids do the hard work. And this curriculum only makes sense if you're going to have them do the worksheets, do the activities that go along with it. Because reading the book, it's going to go one in one ear and out the other kind of thing. They're not going to remember it. Don't do it. Don't just buy it and have them read. The worksheets are great. If you have a student that has learning difficulties, this would be a really great one for a parent or a tutor to sit down with them and work through it. Honestly, if you're trying to decide whether they can do a math and this for a year, I would definitely do this. There's a lot of math activities in there, consumer math, right? So this can count as a math. Also, this is great for kids that are visual learners, lots of pictures. It's very engaging. And ADHD students, again, it's very engaging. It's not just like a textbook that you read. You read and do, right? And it's not the same thing over and over again. You're learning new things all the time. This curriculum would be fantastic for homeschool co-ops because remember there are quarters. So whether your group meets for just a short period of time, like 10 weeks, or whether you meet for the whole school year, you could use this curriculum in your group in such a way that it benefits. If your co-op only meets for 10 weeks, you're not going to cover the whole textbook, but you're still going to cover something meaningful. And maybe you cover the next section the next year, but it works great. This is also a good fit for parents who have working teens. So it's good for working teens because it is something that they can apply instantly. Now, as I said, in the homeschool world, there's often the debate of whether certain topics, curriculum, subjects are relevant. This is absolutely relevant. And I have seen firsthand the benefits in my own family of giving our kids a solid personal finance education. My kids have gotten jobs when they're around 14, sometimes a little younger, sometimes a little older. They've paid for their own driver's ed, their phones, their cars, their insurance, their college. Now my son's paying for his wedding, right? They have learned incrementally to pay for their own things. We're a family with 9 kids. My husband is a nurse. We're not wealthy people. However, our kids have learned from a young age how to steward their money. And so the fact that there's not a ton overflowing from our personal bank account doesn't really matter because our kids are able to use the money that they earn to advance their own goals and to make plans for their futures, which is so exciting. So if you're thinking about your plans for this school year or next school year, I strongly encourage you to check out Master Book's Consumer Math, Personal Finance, and Stewardship Curriculum. It is a solid curriculum. It is engaging and colorful. They have sample pages on their website. So if you're not sure and you're like, would it be a good fit for our family? I'll link the curriculum. I'll link the pages. I'll link my review, all of it below. Definitely go check it out. It is an amazing curriculum. I know you will not be disappointed. And I can't wait to hear the fruit it bears in your family. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was wonderful. Stop by again.